Happy to be 3-1, looking to really build off of the positives from the last game, especially defensively. 15 tackles for loss and 7 sacks. Thought that was positive. I think we can grow off that. Offensively in the second half, thought we played really well. I thought the O-line probably played one of their better games just after watching the tape. They played really, really well. And but coming out, we're pretty healthy. AJ did tweak his hamstring. I don't think it's. I think the prognosis has been good moving forward. I think it's very minor, so he'll run around some today. I think he's probable. Josh Clark has a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out. Ken Webster, I'm hoping to get him back to full speed this week. And then I think Benito is going to be probable. He played some, wasn't 100%, but did play some. So I think he'll be probable moving forward. Excited about the opportunity to go play another top 5 team in the country on the road at night. Be a very challenging atmosphere, but excited about the opportunities while you play in the Southeastern Conference, and looking forward to the challenge.
All right, raise your hand if you have a question. Bring the microphone to you. Start with Harris up front.
Matt, what did you see in Jordan's shoulders yesterday? Has he had any hangover from that soreness that he had Saturday?
Yeah, so what we did, we shut him down yesterday and didn't let him throw. That way he would have yesterday and today fully off, and then he'll go out there and practice tomorrow. His shoulder loosened up in the second half, and it wasn't an issue. But we did rest him yesterday, and we'll rest him today as well. So he won't do much, and then we'll go out and he'll be full tomorrow.
You've got 3 freshmen playing significant roles, true freshmen on defense. Could you just comment on Ruggs, Jaquez, and Kedron, and what you've seen in their development?
Yeah, I think there is some growing pains there, but Kedron has done really, really well. I've been very pleased with him. Ruggs, he'll run around. He's very, very active, and then Jaquez kind of has a nose for the football, and he's more of maybe an instinctive player, but he also showed up and made some plays. You want to see them keep getting better, because every once in a while they'll flash and be really good, and then the next play it won't be what you think. So I just think continue to bring them on, but obviously the only way you can do it is through playing and getting experience, and they are getting better.
Talk about the games that Markel Winters had and Charles Wiley and how they figure in moving forward.
No, I think any time that, again, we challenged everybody to play a role, find what you can do to help the football team, and I think they really stepped up, and they did a good job of getting off the ball and attacking. They didn't wait, they weren't reading, they were getting off the ball and they were attacking, and that was good to see. So I think moving forward that will help as Benito and Josiah get healthy. It will just give them more confidence to give us quality depth. But just them having the mindset to attack and not read, not sit back on their heels. And if you're going to make a mistake, let's make a mistake attacking. And I thought they did a good job with that.
Well, it's your dad and me and probably you understand how big LSU is each week. And I don't know if the kids today realize the rivalry, but hopefully they will before we go down to Baton Rouge. Talk about what you saw, if you got a chance to see LSU already. And offensively, always they're going to play great defense, but offensively with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, so, again, just watched them a lot last night and early this morning, just trying to get a feel for them. Very, very good defensively. Very good on all 3 levels of defense. They're good up front, really good linebackers, very, very long, good in the secondary. So they're a very, very good defense. I think you got to be very, very smart with the football. We have to protect the football. We need some high percentage throws so we can get on schedule and get the rhythm that we need offensively. On offense, they're big up front. I think Burrow does a great job of managing the game. He's a capable passer to hit you vertically, and they got 2 really big backs. They got Brissett, he's 220 pounds, and then the other guy, 22, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he kind of reminds me of Scotty. 5'9", 210, really active. I think he hit some big runs last week. So very, very good at running back. And then, they got a good tight end that's a good blocker, and they'll get him out on nakeds and play action. So I think being disciplined with our eyes so we don't lose him, in man-to-man coverage in the run game, and they throw their play action.
This past week on defense, so much of what you did well was pass rush, but when you're going up against a bigger offensive line, what are the guys going to need to do in order to take a step forward and make that still a part of your game?
You know, I think keep attacking and just being in the right place and the run fits and linebackers showing up where they need to be so they can't hang on the double teams forever. You know, just doing the little things it takes. You know, I think that's what we need to do, just go play good, sound football and just be consistent and play good football. And you have to do that on the road. And obviously be good, you know, defensively, stopping the run, offensively take care of the football, and then be sound on special teams.
Coach, Tylen kind of had his first impactful game Saturday. I mean, what did you see on film, and how much more do you see him kind of factoring in until Eric comes back full strength?
Yeah, no, I thought Tylen, he's doing a lot of things that people aren't seeing on special teams. He's going down there and kick off cover. He you know, almost blocked a punt on punt block, so he's factoring into the game. But it was good to see him get a carry late in the game, and you kind of saw that spark and how physical he runs the ball for his size. He finishes going forward, and he's just he's like a little pit bull, man. He's really physical and tough, and he provides a spark. So I think you'll see his role continue to grow.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about how you saw Metcalf play throughout the season so far?
Yeah, no, I think DK has been very, very steady. He plays on our special teams. I've been very impressed with his unselfishness. He's on kickoff return. You know, we had a penalty, but he went down to a punt. You know, and so I just think he's very unselfish. And then he makes those plays. He's hard to tackle when he has the ball in his hands. I thought the play he made on the post over the middle, the one-handed catch, that really sparked us. And he just, you know, it kind of, I don't know, you almost get spoiled by it because of how good he plays, and you're just used to those guys making those plays, but they keep on doing it. So just impressed with his consistency because of how good he is, but he's doing it game in, game out. So I think his consistency is what's impressed me the most.
Matt, going back to Tylen Knight and his recruitment here, Ole Miss was the only Southeastern Conference, only Power 5 school to offer him. You guys offered him late in the process. What exactly did y'all see out of him that others didn't, that he would make this early impact?
Well, obviously, I think if you just go and you base it on sheerly height and weight, then you probably don't offer him. But when you're looking at a young man that won a state championship, 6A Player of the Year in the state of Mississippi, MVP of the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game, sooner or later, you got to realize you can't judge the size of his heart and what he brings to the table. If you ask any coach who's the best player on the field, it was Tylen Knight. Who's the best player at the Mississippi Valley? It's Tylen. So sooner or later, you have to say, hey, look, we're going to take a shot on this guy, and especially if you're at the University of Mississippi and he's the best player in Mississippi, I think he deserved a shot, and I think I think that's showing.
With AJ's injury, Elijah got in a lot more. What was your evaluation of his performance?
Good. You know, I thought he took advantage of the opportunities that he had. You could see his quickness, his change of direction, some things that he can do, and it's just good to get him that experience. That way he feels more and more comfortable moving forward. You know, if AJ, you know, gets tired or there's an injury, he can step in there and get going, especially with Floyd being out with a hamstring, I think. But I thought he did a really good job of taking advantage of his opportunities.
Third down efficiency Saturday was much better. Was that just implemented from the speed lineup, or did you do anything differently schematically?
Yeah, it wasn't great early, but I thought we got better at it, and we've obviously made it an emphasis in practice, week in, week out. But it was good to see. We threw a curl route in there. We picked up a blitz and a twist, and we threw the ball on time. And that's what you have to do in this league. You don't have an unlimited amount of time to throw it. Everything has to be on time. You have to be good, not only O-line, but a tailback, picking up all the blitzes and the things that you see on third down. But I did see an improvement there, and that was one of the things we were looking to build on. So that was good to see.
Matt, you got the tight ends involved Saturday. That was good to see. Was that just because of the scheme they were running, or was it just finally we got their number called?
You know what? It had been a little bit unfortunate, and I was, through the first three games, not disappointed, but we had some plays, some wheel routes before that were covered. We had a ball that was tipped to Cooley over the middle. We had some just off of Dawson's hands, so it was really good to get him involved and to add that because he is a weapon, and I think it was just kind of the way it played out. But I think you'll start to see them more and more moving forward because I think he is a good matchup in some things that we do.
Matt, you mentioned playing some smaller guys and quicker guys on the defensive line, kind of out of necessity on Saturday, but did you feel like you found anything there as far as like using that more often going forward?
Yeah, I think you can in some situations. Obviously, what you gain in some areas, you lose in others. In some games, it's a matchup, so if you're playing a spread team that like to throw it, obviously the quicker guys help. But if you're playing a big team that like to run it, that obviously won't be as good of a matchup. So I think we can use it in certain situations, and those guys will have confidence. But I think it's more about just those guys having the confidence to go in there and give you quality snaps and attack, and don't let what you can't do stop you from what you can do. And those guys can get off the ball and they can attack. So I think that's what we want to try to utilize them for.
Matt, do you see similarities defensively between LSU and Alabama?
No, it's a different scheme, and I would say LSU is a little bit more of an attacking front, where Alabama just holds point, and it's hard to move those guys. But I would say in the secondary there are some similarities because of their length, but it's just a little bit different scheme up front. But again, both very, very good defenses, as you'll see pretty much week in and week out in this league. But they do a great job, and we're going to have to do a really, really good job of trying to have high percentage passes and then have enough in the run game where we don't get on our heels. We got to stay in attack mode and be aggressive in the run game, and then we need to have some high percentage completions.